So it's been on since 2014, and it involves 3 or 4 main things. One is actual physical sangams, where people meet in different parts of the country. Vinay, the next slide. In different parts of the country, either at a regional level. So for instance, we've had sangams happening for the groups working in Kutch or in Ladakh or in Tamil Nadu or in Maharashtra, or they meet on thematic issues at a national level. So for instance, we've had sangams on food or food sovereignty, on democracy, on health. There's a series of sangams happening with the youth or youth workers, and so on. So the idea is to just come together for 3-4 days, brainstorm, do more sharing, collaborations, etc., which I already mentioned. But apart from that, the process also involves a lot of documentation of the stories that are of these people that are doing stuff on the ground, of perspectives emerging from different parts of the country, not just perspectives of people like us who, are in cities and are able to articulate ourselves in so-called national media, but also and especially perspectives from the communities on the ground, who are the ones who are facing the consequences of destructive development, but also are generating these alternatives. To also help with that documentation, we have a website. Vinay, the next one. So this website, the vikalpsangam.org website, now has, I think, about 1,500 stories and perspectives from around the country on all these different subjects that I just mentioned. And we invite you, take this opportunity to also invite everybody who's on this webinar to also contribute stories, perspectives, photographs, photo stories, films. You will see that there's almost about 100 short films that have also been made on different initiatives around the country. So this Vikalp Vārtā is very much a part of this whole series of actions. To get to this particular one, we have with us Elango. Elango Rangaswamy is a former sarpanch of the village of Kuthambakkam, which is a little bit outside Chennai, and has a very, very interesting history. I mean, I can spend an hour just on talking about Elango, but just very quickly. So he was with the government. He was actually working in as a government servant, as part of as a scientist, and did that for many years. But then more and more he was dissatisfied with that work, and he was also kind of remembering his own history, his own youth in the village. Whereas a Dalit, he used to have a lot of discrimination against him, and also he would see the kind of suffering that people in the village had in terms of lack of access to food, to water, to livelihoods, and so on. And so he decided at some point to quit his government job and come back to the village. And this was also around the time when the 73rd and 74th amendments to the constitution were being made, where Panchayats were being given more powers. And he decided that he would come back and fight for elections as the sarpanch, which he won. And he was then, I think, sarpanch for a couple of terms. And as sarpanch, he actually decided to try and transform the village with the help of the rest of the villagers, of course, by making sure that all the funds that were coming to the panchayat, or should have been coming to the panchayat, but were often siphoned away by district officials or by sometimes panchayats themselves, should actually be used for the village development, for water, sanitation, housing, agricultural operations, and so on and so forth. And especially also setting up small scale industry of the kind that normally don't come into villages, to enable much more dignified livelihoods for the local community. So I think 150 to 200 families were able to get employment there rather than having to migrate out to Chennai or elsewhere for work. Elango is also, as a Dalit, like I mentioned, he faced a lot of problems in his youth, and he wanted to do something to change the casteism, to eradicate casteism in some way in the village. Which, as we all know, is a very, very difficult thing given how old casteism is. But he did many things in order to do that. One of the things is use a government program called Samathuvapuram, and he can tell us more about it, in which instead of different castes living in different hamlets in the village, you would have mixed caste housing as a means of trying to overcome some of the barriers between castes. And maybe Elango, you can tell us how that's going right now, because it's been more than, I think, 14, 15 years now since that was started. He also started, because of the kind of transformations that happened in the village, he decided that he would also like to, and also at the same time, what he was doing was working out a very interesting concept called the network economy, in which he was saying that why should the village spend lakhs of rupees spending on things like soap and so on, and footwear and so on, and actually making corporations rich, whereas in fact they could be making all these things in the village itself. Not a single village, but you could have a cluster of maybe 20 villages that could make all these things, exchange with each other, and therefore become self-reliant for basic needs. So I'm sure he'll also explain to us his concept of network economy arising out of that. And in order to then propagate that more, he also set up a Panchayat academy to where sarpanches or Panchayat members from that whole area could be trained. So, and the last word on this, because he will also tell us about his newest invention, is that Elango as a scientist is also an inventor and innovator. And I remember when I went to his village, he was working on a very cheap solar kit that could be set up in every household and be produced in the village itself, and then be available to villagers at reasonable cost. And right now he's worked on a disinfectant given the current COVID crisis, and he will tell us about that. So that's briefly about Elango. And I would now like to give it over to Elango. Juhi, Vinay, anything else? Otherwise, we can go straight to Elango.
No, absolutely. Everyone's eager.
All right. So I think Vinay, we can switch that off. And Elango, over to you.
Yeah. Vanakkam for everybody. And it's really a pleasure to talk to you all after a long gap. Though I'm part and parcel of this Vikalp and all this movement, I was a little hectic for 2-3 years on the inner village issues, and not only village issue of Kuthambakkam. In Tamil Nadu, the Panchayat elections were not done for more than 5 years. And of course, in the history after 73rd Amendment, and Tamil Nadu was one of the very decent states where the Panchayat elections were very nicely conducted. Whether the devolution of powers had happened or not, but they were decent. But after Jayalalitha's demise and the present government, it has not bothered to conduct the elections, and the whole 5 year has gone. Recently, just 2 months back, because of our pressure, we fought in the court and with High Court, Supreme Court, and all these things. At last, the elections happened. So I spent more time on that to bring the elections to the state. Interestingly, the situation now, the COVID and all these things, which is really making us to think on the line what we have been talking on: local economy, local self-government, local communities, and sustainable. So as it was introduced, I'm basically a chemical engineer from this village where I born, and like others, why I became chemical engineer? Yes, I will get a good job in oil industries, and after that, I go out of the India and earn some money. Earning money, that was the drive when I was an engineer. But it was the time, but when I was 20, 21, like that, as it was again mentioned by Ashish, the caste system in the village, the economic disparities in the village, the poverty around me, the women's fate of the women. I'm talking now it's far grown and far better. I'm talking when I was a boy in 69, 70s. So the fate of the poor women, particularly Dalit women, on the poor women, and the life, and the children around them, the drunkard husbands, then the caste system, then economic disparities, inequalities, all these things I was able to watch when, as a youngster, when I came out for higher studies and when I came out for a good job, then I was able to compare what's happening in cities, what's happening in the institutions, where what is the miracle, what is the difference between the life, what I'm leading, what I was leading, what the people are leading in my own village, which is not a remote village, which is hardly 30 kilometers away from Chennai. It's a peri-urban village. So, lot of difference. So then those days, how to bring that sophistication, bring that kind of development to the village. That was the real meaning of development I had, or like others. I also felt, oh, how much good road can go back, how much big building will go back, and how much big shops and big factories can be set up in the village. That was the kind of development, like others, I was also understanding. I happened when I was a scientist in CSIR in 1983-84. One of the again miraculous coincidence happened. I happened to be posted to work in a village where there was a monk. He was called Kundrakudi Adigala, very famous, very revolutionary, radical monk. I had never seen such a person even till now. And he was a sannyasi, but he was a radical. He was a scientist. He used to talk science, but everything, whatever he tried, it was connecting the people of the community, people of the village. How can we bring the sustainable livelihood? How can we bring the permanent smile in the faces in a democratic manner? All these things he was doing. For that, CSIR has adopted that village. That time, Indira Gandhi was the prime minister. She adopted that village as a model for the country, using this sannyasi as a hub. And CSIR put a lot of effort to take. So generally, when CSIR or anybody, IIT or anyone, those who are going inside the village, they want to make the village develop. Naturally, then how to take science into that. Science means in the form of technology, in the form of company, in the form of invention, that kind of thing. So we adopted that village and we started variety of chemical industries or electrochemical industries, which were in high demand. In those days, the country used to talk about import substitute and export. So then we were concentrating more on import substitute. We started variety of chemical industries which were imported. So these chemicals were started as import substitutes. Swamiji brought huge money by pledging the mud properties, and he brought huge money. We started a big industries. So, but the truth, what we found, Swamiji and even myself as a village boy, village youngster, what I was finding, huge money. Those days, I'm talking 1984, it was 4.7 or 4.8 crore rupee money. That money, crore means, even Swamiji used to say, if you convert one money, this 1 crore rupee into 1 rupee and stack in a room, even a big bungalow is needed to stack it inside. If you count, even one man is allowed to count, he will take 1 year to count that 1 crore like that 8-hour shift. So that much of money was invested. Big company came in. The whole village was listening. Oh God, we are all going to get a big job or anything. But unfortunately, after the commissioning, and we saw that everything is automatic plant and chemical plant, maybe maximum 18 people or 20 people were given employment. That too, chemistry graduates or chemical engineering graduates, no one was there from the village. So they were hired from Madurai and Chennai. So it was a great disappointment for Swamiji. And he called a scientist meeting, and one day he told, oh God, it's a huge money, 4 crore. That's unimaginable money for my village people. So with that money, we thought huge employment will come. At least one person from a family will get employment other than the agriculture. So, but unfortunately, it's 18 or 20 people, that too from outside, and small the cleaning and grass cutting jobs only given for village people. So this is a disappointment. But what can be, you can't blame the scientists. They said huge money is coming, sir. 2 lakh rupee profit is coming, sir. 3 lakh rupee profit is coming, sir. Like that they said. No, but Swamiji was not happy. Okay, with that 3 lakhs, can I ask my people to sit down in their home and every month, every day we will feed some money? So that is not the job, sir. The real solution is we must create opportunity for them to work. And through that, they should earn. That process should be facilitated by this kind of money coming from outside. So that kind of thing. So then he started his own idea of promoting village industries. He bought 25 cycles. He called 25 young boys and gave the cycle and a sack and about 100 rupee, 1000 rupee. Go and collect cashew nuts. And that was the cashew season. These young boys used to go to villages, buy the cashew from the cashew nut growers, and then that came 25 people regularly. They used to go out and they earn money and for their livelihood. And the whatever cashew nut collected, the women, about 40 women, they used to roast it and break it and put masala, this and that. And that was going up as a beautiful industry. And cashew nut shell oil, of course, we scientists put some effort and we extracted the shell oil. We made some paint and varnish, paint and red oxide paints from that. So that started a big thing. Oh God, it's only a 25 lakh rupee investment and about 60, 70 people, they got employed. And simple job, no risk, and people, everybody were happy, that kind of thing. Then that has opened more and more interest to the Swamiji. He put a lime kiln and he used to make lime and we used to make chalk piece out of it. We used to make wall paintings and other things out of it. And that was giving about employment for about 15, 20 people. Then we used to buy the finished leather from the tanned leather from the Dindigul. Then we used to make finished goods out of it. And that was giving employment for more than 40 people. Like that, small investment based on the local resources, based on the local need and local skill. That was giving enormous employment and the village life was almost changed. Pertaining, and I mean, we were keeping eye on the agriculture. Agriculture, whatever to be done, it was parallelly going on. Parallelly, along with agriculture, this kind of village industries, they were going well. And the village became a very big facelift and it was talk of the days those days. But unfortunately, after Indira Gandhi's demise and Swamiji was unable to continue it and he did not get much support. And that was the time again the chemicals and whatever we started, they fall under OGL and more people, whatever who were depending on our chemicals, they started importing and all our chemical industries, all our small battery industries, anything based on high tech, again, things based on others' demand, and all the things they went to standstill and they became bankrupt. So that gave me the opportunity for me to think, even a brilliant chemical engineer, high tech, sophisticated chemical engineer. Oh God, whatever I understood, like whatever was available based on the local resources, local need, small local technology that was sustaining and there was less risk or anything. Whereas whatever was big lucrative money, this and that, but it was totally depending on somebody and it was depending on somebody, it was disturbed. So that was the idea when I was talking to the Swamiji also became sick because the village became bankrupt, the mutt became bankrupt, and he was a politically influential man. Somehow he was managing, but he was not happy. So one day I was talking to him, Swamiji, about this, whatever we started based on our demand and these things, these are all sustaining. Then he said, Elango, fantastic, good understanding. But yes, now with this, as a youngster, why can't you do this experiment in some place? Because now you are seeing where we fall, and now you are seeing what could we do. So then, without fail, why can't we demonstrate some model somewhere? Then I told Swamiji, show me a village, I will do. Then he said, no, you can't expect me to show a village and near to me. Why can't you do it in your own village? Then it was a shock to me. I had some idea on my village and going back to village and do something, but not like going totally and experimenting everything with my village. Then when I was telling him that this village is an urban village and very near to Chennai, is very difficult. Then he told, he was a big Tamil laureate, and he told, if you are unable to catch a lizard in your own village, how can you expect that you can catch an elephant in a town. In Tamil, there was a proverb like this, equivalent proverb. Then he told, just go there and do something. Then, of course, I got some energy. And again, he told, you are married and you got children, what to do? Why can't you call your wife and we'll talk? Because I also talked to my wife. And then I decided to go back to the village and stay in the village and understand what could I do with this experiment. So with that idea, I went back to my village. Because interestingly, my wife, we tried to work like, and she got a job in a government. So then the moment she got a job and she was able to take care of the children. So I resigned the job. I went to the village, stayed in the village as unemployed or whatever, something as a villager. And I started understanding, putting all the ideas, whatever we gained out of high-tech experiments, out of low-tech experiment, the business models in Kundrakudi, the failures and all. Then I was also studying the village pattern, politics and all. It was not that much a difficulty because I born and I grown there with the interest of coming back to do something for the village. So that was the coincidence again that Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated. After Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated, a lot of lobbies were happening to bring the Panchayat Raj again. So Narasimha Rao was trying. In 1992, it was passed. The modified 73rd Constitution amendment was passed. And then that gave me a lot of energy. Oh God, this excellent idea, excellent system is going to come in. But unfortunately, that time, Jayalalitha was the chief minister. She did not care about all these things. But a lot of things happened in Kerala. I used to visit some of the places in Kerala. And well, the People's Plan campaign was going on. Learn something and going again, trying to lobby the state government. At last, Karunanidhi gave an assurance in 96 elections. If he'd come to power, he could immediately, in 6 months' time, he will conduct the Panchayats elections and give enough devolutions and all. So when elections happened, he came and within 6 months, he constituted a beautiful committee under the leadership of one famous IAS officer, Ashokvardhan Shetty, who was keen on democracy and all. So it came. Then it became an inevitable one that when I'm staying in the village, I'm studying what is happening. Then when the election happened, I contested in the election. It became a contest, not that much tough contest because I had my own route in the village. So I won. And the moment the Panchayats were formed, then we called the Gram Sabha. We adopted the very pattern of People's Plan campaign mode in Kerala. Then we made a voluminous plan of Panchayats. All the 50 years felt need should be fulfilled within 5 years. That was the motto of the plan. And we started implementing one by one with the government money, the people's participation, and again, it may be the people need not contribute as money. And they can even contribute the labor. They can even contribute kinds. That way, every 1 rupee of the Panchayat we were trying to make it 2 rupee. Every 1 lakh should become 2 lakh. That kind of thing. Of course, we learned some of the things from Kerala again. In Kerala, those days, it was called Malappuram. Malappuram district, there was a Vallikunnu village. It was a model for people's participation. And there, the echo of 1 rupee of the Panchayat will become 3 rupee or 2 rupee like that. So I went there, stayed there, learned something. Then I came there. Again, I convinced my own people, started one by one. In 3 to 4 years' time, a lot of transformations happened. Along with the development, when the development was demonstrated, people started giving respect to us. And that was the time, then slowly we worked on eradicating the illicit arak distillation. Again, yes, it was possible to stop the illicit arak distillation. But we were compelled to give the alternate employment for people, those who were involved in that. More than 300 to 400 families involved in that. So about 1,500 population involved in that. So that again compelled me to run pillar to post and finding alternate employment. For that alternate employment, I know It is not starting a chemical factory. It's not starting an engineering factory. So it should be a village base, village center. If the good soil is there, why can't you make mud blocks using technology from IISc Bangalore? Then if good paddy is there, then we were trying for making rice and rice-based other things. If water is good, then water managed agriculture, that kind of thing. So whatever was the resource, whatever the resources available in the village, and converting that, one side. Then second is spending all the money, Panchayat money, to the people. We constituted people's group, say people's group of labor, mason, agriculture, something like this. Whatever money available for any project in the village, and that money was given to the people's committee. People, they use that as an investment, and they contributed as the labor or the material, something. So lot of developments, like all the ponds were desilted, all the roads were leveled, and they even, at that time, the Karnanidhi was keen on promoting some concrete roads. And he gave a lot of money, and that money was given to in the hands of the people. People, they used this money, and they even contributed their own cement and labor. And they constructed very good roads, schools were repaired. So like that, 3-4 years time, in 96, I became the Panchayat leader. By 99, this village almost, it was facelifted, no liquor, people are happy. The great hope has come to the people. So that was the time we demonstrated the Samatopura. Samatopura means in India or any part of the world, or particularly in India, the greatest curse on the Indian community is the caste. So it doesn't mean that we are looking for equality or anything, but caste is a very unfortunate, dirty thing. For no reason, and somebody is treated bad. For no reason, somebody is treated ugly, and no reason, somebody is treated untouchable, something like this. So this was working in my mind when I was, because I was suffering all along because of untouchability and all these things. So after understanding Gandhi and local economy, this and that, now I was not aggressive on hating other people who are practicing caste. Rather, I used to go for a dialogue in a very smooth manner, make them to understand. So that has given me opportunity to work with the poor people from the upper so-called upper caste, and they are all very closely working with Panchayat. So then it gave opportunity when we were trying for giving a housing colony, for promoting a new housing colony for Dalits, and these poor people from non-Dalit section, they also came, sir, you are promoting housing for them, when we are going to get a house. Then I told the land is available nearer to the Dalit colony, where Dalit new colony is going to come. If you are interested, we can put a housing for you there. So then, of course, they took some more time, about 2 months' time, to talk to people. At last, the Gram Sabha decided, and they all came forward. Then we designed a new concept called Samatopuram, where we promoted 100 houses, and that is in 100 plots, 50 twin houses. And that is one side a Dalit, and other side a Brahmin, and one side a Dalit, other side a non-Dalit, like that. And we did not even want to separate them in roads or even compound walls. You cannot be separated. Then the veranda is common, and the Dalit has to come and the other fellow has to come. And at least, of course, Panchayat took a lot of effort to coordinate the whole system. Any small issues happen, Panchayat worked with the upper caste people or the so-called Dalits. So we patched them, and it was promoting a beautiful model of first time in the history of India, where in the same village, it may be happening in towns, but whereas in the same village, a Brahmin, a Dalit, a Naidu, all the people, they started living together very closer to Dalits. So that's a speciality. So when Karnanidhi looked into this, and he was so happy, and he was keen to give more money for that, and he was keen in adopting that as a Samatopram scheme for the whole state, and very revolutionary scheme, and he promoted around 232 such Samatoprams in Tamil Nadu in those days. So this is the end of 2001. That is the first term. Second time I was re-elected, and whatever was left over in the 5-year plan, and it was done. And second 5-year plan was more focused on providing livelihoods and providing dignified house and toilets for everybody. For that, we adopted a variety of cost-effective building material technologies, right from development alternatives, Balram machine to a lot of other technologies. Then we, with the government of India support, with the community support, with some agency like Swiss Agency for Development or something, they gave some money also. With that, we made that village as a hutless village. Everybody, they started living in a small house, dignified house, cool house. So when housing was ensured, the people's mindset was totally different. So then the women, men, everybody, they forged into the panchayat activities and lot of micro enterprises. And they, again, they concentrated more on education. The children went to school. The youngsters, they started going out and learning some skill and searching for job outside also they go. So a lot of money started coming in, and a lot of money which was generated in the village, that was also getting accumulated there, because as I told you in the beginning, that local economy, the rice money has gone to the milk money has gone to the lungi money has gone to the ragi, like that it was going on. So then the idea of, I became very closer to government agencies. The present Chief Secretary of Tamil Nadu, Shanmugam, he was the Director of Rural Development those days. We became almost like brothers. So he started working with me, and both of us, we searched for good panchayats who are all doing good things in Tamil Nadu. We networked such panchayats, a federation of demonstrating panchayats in Tamil Nadu. That has given me the opportunity. When this is possible in Kuthambakkam, in some model villages here and there, why not in other places? Then we created a platform called Panchayat Academy. The Panchayat Academy is not a teaching institution. It's a platform of federation of panchayats who are demonstrating, and then becomes a learning, cross-learning center. And that has, from it started with 129 panchayats. Slowly it was expanding to about 900 panchayats across Tamil Nadu. And that was a big hope. And then the network happened, then the technology demonstration. For that, the Panchayat Academy, one is sharing the good practices among the panchayats. Second is promoting technologies, promoting appropriate rural technologies. Yes, there are institutions like even IITs, so-called premier institutions, IITs and all, they develop a lot of things keeping the villages in mind, keeping the agriculture in mind, but it is not reaching to the community. So this Panchayat Academy, through its Rural Technology Resource Center, which started working as a bridge between the institutions and the people. So we borrowed the technologies, we modified the technologies. It is scaled down. It's called scaling down. It's called scaling out model, not scaling up model. It's a scaling out model. So a larger modern rice mill can be brought down to smaller micro mini modern rice mill. Interestingly, from the micro mini modern rice mills, now we have gone to the domestic type of rice from 200 HP. So it was brought down to 50 HP. Then we brought it down to 13 HP. Now this is operated even by 1.6 HP or something like this. So like that Turdal mill, a larger 300 HP mill to just half HP or 1 HP driven smaller Turdal mill. Like that, it may be a rice, it may be wheat, or it may be oil or oil expeller, hand decortigators, or mild power operated. A variety of micro appropriate technologies have been demonstrated in this Rural Technology Center. In that process, of course, I came to I came closer to the former President Abdul Kalam. He was showing a lot of interest on this kind of technology development. We became almost very good friends. So one day he asked a question, Elango, these village industries, self-sustaining model, network of villages, and networking the village economy into a network economy model. Then the village surplus, the network of villages, then surplus of the network of villages will go to the nearest town. Whatever is not produced in the network of villages can be imported from the towns. Then the bargaining power of the villages and the bargaining power of the city people will improve. And the farmers, the product, the bargaining power of the farmers will improve. So this kind of thing, when he was listening, and after 3 or 4 meetings, one day he told, yes, fantastic idea, things are going well. But so long you are hooked with the power, hooked with the grid, I can't say it is a self-reliant model. And then when the power goes off, then automatically your units will stop. So the real Swaraj, the real independency will be seen. Even the power dependency has to go. Even the village should produce its own power. The micro enterprises should run on its own power. So that kind of thing, of course, I got pressure from him. That has made me to work with the energy sector. Then we worked on solar and simplification of solar, energy audit, and all these things. Now, a beautiful model of solar energy, audited mode of solar energy utilization, and for it, which low cost, low power consuming fans. Generally, the normal fan consumes 65 to 70 watts, whereas these fans, they consume 25 watts. And these fans, they will not generate even 1 degree temperature more, whereas other fans, normal fans, will generate 80 degree or 90 degree. So this kind of low energy consuming, higher efficient fans, low energy consuming LED lights. LED means it's a Bajaj or it is something like this. So whereas the technology, you know what is LED? The LED bulb, the LED light, there is a drive, and there is a case, and there is a glass or whatever. All those things can be locally made, and we are producing locally made repairable LED lights. People, they can repair it and use it. Just spend 20 rupees, replace whatever has gone, then use it again. So this kind of repairable LED lights. So right from the rice milling to the light fan. So as much possible, we can depend on solar and local energy. Not only the solar, it may be the firewood, what is available locally, energy efficient, smokeless chulas and something like this. For the whole thing, it's called roti, kapda, makan. This comes around 45 to 50 types of technologies, and the resources are 100% available in the villages. Technologies are almost self-reliant technologies. So now the focus is on promoting this kind of self-reliant communities. In this experience, from Panchayat level to family level, now I am concentrating, or we are concentrating more on promoting the self-reliant confidence in every family. The unit should be, the development unit should be the family. Every family should understand self-reliancy. Each family, individual family cannot proclaim a self-reliancy. But if 10 families, 1 street, 1 hamlet, as much possible self-reliant, they have to think. In the family level, how much of self-reliancy you can achieve. By networking 10 families, 20 families, how much of small exchanges. It may be a tomato exchange for a brinjal, a small rice exchange for a wheat, or appalam exchange for a small oil. This kind of small exchange. So the exchanging community of 10 families or 20 families or 30 families, they become self-reliant communities. Then the self-reliant communities, agglomeration of self-reliant communities become a self-reliant village. Then a gathering of 10 or 20 villages become a self-reliant economic zone. Then automatically the state and the country. So this is 60 to 70% possible to lead a self-reliant country, a self-sufficient country. Self-sufficiency is a little larger comparison. So self-reliancy. I am self-reliant because my family is self-reliant almost. whatever is possible, my community, my village. So this kind of thing has to be demonstrated. For that, I'm aggressively working on. In 2011, I finished my Panchayat leadership, and 2011 to 2016, my close relative was a Panchayat leader. Of course, I didn't put much interest on the Panchayat those days, of Kuthambakkam. I started work more on the technology development, local technologies, local economy. Started traveling across the world also. Unfortunately, I became sick for 2 3 years, 2012 to 2015, mid 15, and I was off for 2 3 years. Then 2014, I came back. Slowly, I was recovering. And from 2015 onwards, aggressively, I work on technology development for sustainable livelihood, for promoting more and more local economy, local resource center based thing. Now, I've got a beautiful network of technology institution, a beautiful network of panchayats, panchayat related things, particularly Kerala. Even though the panchayat level, they are demonstrating a lot, but a lot of need for the technology and sustainability for them. I'm working with a lot of institutions there, I think. And now,
Elango,
hmm.
just to be able to give enough time for questions. So if you could.
Yeah, now I'm finishing. So
maybe one last thing on the current COVID.
Yeah.
Innovation.
So this has given the real, the one is the community, the village and the green and sustainability, that everyone knows it, no doubt. Whereas the technologies, the sophistication, whatever somebody talks, same kind of joy, whatever you are getting from the so-called sophistication, the same or better joy you can enjoy from the appropriate technology-based outputs. So we are very much sure. I'm very much sure, and this I'm strongly propagating and demonstrating to the world. Recently, when the COVID came, or when the dengue fever came, so all these things are there. Now, of course, I'm grown. So the collectors are coming closer to me, and they give respect. They call me. I also volunteer to them. So anything like a dengue comes, how the mosquito can be eradicated or stopped, how the water can be purified, that kind of small technology, how the solar energy can well utilize, housing for the poor people or tribals in a smallest small money, sustainable housing. All these are demonstrated. So I got a very good recognition in the state and all these things. Now, the COVID, when this it started exploding, then I was working on developing one is the medicine and to combat the medical side. The other side is the protecting the environment, disinfection, clean and washing and all these things. For that, the sodium hypochlorite, we call hypo, that is a major required, a major mother of insecticide or the disinfectant or anything. So this is purchased from the big companies, and big companies like Lysol and Domex and all, they are making a big business. Faster than I will demonstrate a process using 100% solar. Why it should be that it should be developed urgently. Tamil Nadu may be having power, or what about the other part of the country? Any corner of the country, people just put a solar panel and they can make their 25 liters or 50 liters, 100 liters sodium hypochlorite, which is a powerful disinfectant and very positive disinfectant, not like a chemical or anything. It's only a salt, sodium chloride, add it, pass current, solar current, and you will get a beautiful 5 to 6% sodium hypochlorite, which will kill all the virus and all these things. Dilute it, use it for cleaning your rooms and everything. Hospitals, for all these things, this becomes a beautiful lesson. Now this is coming up in a big way. In few villages, we put the demonstration plants, and tomorrow the CM is going to come and for a large vegetable market. There we are putting a large plant for the larger community. This kind of thing. So what I am telling is here, anything A to Z of the local community need. Only thing is the community's mind should not float or fly, and if they got settled. I used to talk to my friends. settle down, stand on the floor. Your foot should touch, it should stand on the soil. Then you will feel the current of the soil. Then automatically your life will, you will not fly. And if you are not flying, then you have got enough solution within you, within your community, within your village, or within your state, or within your country. So that is the thing I'm working. And maybe after my health recovery, now I'm keen in pushing this, promoting self-reliant communities. The unit should be the home. SDG, Sustainable Development Goal. The whole world is talking about countries. People are talking about cities. No, the Sustainable Development Goal, SDG goal, can be understood by the family. All 17 goals. Now I have designed a program called SDG Tracker. Every family we are giving a SDG calendar, and the family tracks the SDGs. And the family tracks in 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, or 2 years. The family will achieve all the 17 goals. Every family will achieve the 17 goals. Naturally, then we are out of the troubles. That's a beautiful indication, the limit where the world can achieve, the communities can achieve, families can achieve. So we are working for that. So for that, the technologies, the panchayats, the evolution, sustainability, all these things will be the solutions. So this is the work is going on. Nice. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this.
Thank you so much, Elango. So we also have Nandakumar on the call, and Nandakumar has worked not just in Kuthambakkam, but also in a number of other parts of Tamil Nadu on a similar thing. Nandakumar, can you just maybe take a few minutes to add your thoughts on this? And then we open up for questions.
Ashish, I don't think Nandakumar is on the call. He was.
Okay.
But I don't know, maybe there's some issue with his network. We've not been able to reach him offline. So
okay.
We could just go on with the questions.
Okay, so Vinay, over to you.
Yeah, Ashish, thank you. Please don't mind this voice. It's the regular clock voice. So I'll be on mute for a few seconds.
So meanwhile, thank you so much, Elango. I wish all of us were in this audience and we would have all clapped, but thank you so much for sharing all the crazy stuff that you've done and with the perseverance and the resilience that you've shown. I think that's what we need to learn from you, apart from everything else as the change. So Vinay, are you ready to ask the questions from the audience?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thanks again, Elango. So there have been few questions coming up while you were introducing. So what I'll be doing is I've listed down all the questions that has come up in the chat box, and I'll be requesting each individual to just quickly come, unmute themselves, and if they want, they can turn on their video and then just quickly share their question. And then Elango, we can take it forward from there. So I just wanted to request again, like it'll be a good idea if we do not get into a discussion or debate kind of a format, or rather just keep a question in front of Elango. Okay, so may I request Mr. Rajan JB, the first question coming from him about, I think this question has been answered, but like if he has anything else that he would like to put. So the question was, what is the role of panchayats in Tamil Nadu in managing COVID? I mean panchayats other than the Kuthambakkam.
Yeah, now Tamil Nadu, the panchayat elections are very recently conducted. So just 3 months back or 4 months back. And the panchayats are just helping the government, like in maintaining the distribution of foods, or the migrant laborers, if they are staying there and they are arranging foods, and again, disinfection, and then the controlling the traffics, whether any outside people are coming or unnecessarily going and coming. And interestingly, many of the panchayats are taking care of the youngsters, like they should not move around, and that kind of thing is going on, like helping the governments, helping the stay home, that kind of thing. Hereafter, we are I am very aggressively working and equipping myself or the team or any like Vikalp Sangam or whomever. Here after only the problem will be coming. They combating the COVID that's going on. After that, livelihoods, agriculture, money, lending, all these things, we have to work.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Lango. So now, can I request Surbhi Yadav to come forward? A question around women-led initiatives.
She's probably dropped the call as well. I can't see a Surbhi Yadav on our screen. So we could move to the next question. Unless, Elango, you want to tell us something specifically about women-led initiatives in Kuthambakkam?
Oh, women-led initiatives. In fact, the women, the problem is that poor women, what we say, whether they are so-called Dalits or non-Dalits, that's not the issue. The women, 20 years back, 1996, I also, they were totally depending on the men's earning. So the drunkard husband, the poor man, and the family was struggling for 50 rupees to 100 rupees for the food and other thing. Now, the women, they have been organized as self-help groups. And now they are very powerful. Almost out of the 1,670 families, 1,400 families, they are enrolled in the self-help group movement. Now from the self-help group, they are federated, they are village level, panchayat level, federation. The federation has a huge money revolving. A member of the federation, of the self-help group, anytime she can mobilize easily 50 to 60,000 rupees money. That's her own saving is there. And this is revolving. So the money mobilizing, when I was a young man or when I was a beginner of Panchayat, there was a struggle for even 50 rupees. These women were struggling. Even 2,000 rupees was a big money for them. Now, even 60,000, 70,000 rupees is not a big money. I mean, it's not a big problem for them. But the problem is, are they really effectively using this money for sustainable growth? That's again a question. How much my influence or the Kuthambakkam influence is making them to prevent them from going the normal way of consumer mode? That's again a question. Of course, that's where the COVID has come now. So after this 2-3 months time, it may be a time for us to capture them to and show the real smell or the real essence of this kind of local. So the women are very strong, and because of that, the money problem has gone. That their money revolving power has overcome the dependency of their husbands. Now the women are very strong. The beating of women has totally gone because the women is a money power. Women is a troubleshooter in the village, in the family. So that's a big change. In my own eyes, I'm seeing. In my own age, I'm seeing the power of the women. Then, because of the women, the children are going to school, girl children, particularly that they are going to school, the grown children, the girls, health and all, that's all really picking up well.
Great.
Okay. Thank you, Lango. So I'll invite Mr. Nikhil Rakhecha. So I think his questions are around bureaucracy and I think convincing higher caste, so-called higher caste people.
Hello, Elango sir. Am I audible?
Yeah.
It was wonderful listening to your work. I have 2 questions. How was your experience with the bureaucracy at the local level, say collector and the BDO? What actually the reforms are needed to make Panchayat a true model of democracy? And another question was regarding the model you have done, the housing model. We all know the orthodoxy and the stubbornness of higher caste. So how exactly you convinced the upper caste to share the housing? That I'm really interested to know. Like, how did you persuade them?
Yeah. So the bureaucracy, yeah, it's all known that the collector, BDO and all, they are not for you, and they will not be with you. We can't say that they are against you and they will crush you or anything, but they are not for your interest. Their interest is different because they have been driven by the government and policies. That's again another story. So what we are trying is, that is why we are trying to promote the self-sufficiency or self-reliancy as much possible. So if you are totally depending on the bureaucracy, like the collector has to give the money, collector has to clear, then automatically there will be a problem. So that is why in the beginning I faced a lot of problems. When I started as a very motivated Panchayat leader, in 2-3 months my motivation has gone. In 6 months I've been troubled like anything. And I was one of the first Panchayat leader to be sacked under the Tamil Nadu Panchayat Act in those days. In 1996 I took over. In 1998, mid 1998, I was sacked. I was thrown out because I'm violating so many norms of the bureaucracy or anything. But only thing is, I took a challenge. Yes, I'm all right. I'm correct. I'm demonstrating. I'm doing good things. So I have to fight it out. That fighting it again, Gandhi came in. If Gandhi was not there, I could have beaten a IAS officer. I could have beaten a BDO. I could have gone to jail. Whereas Gandhi came in, so that Gandhi has given me enough energy that I have to, yes, it is correct. I'm honest. I'm committed. I have to fight it out. I have to face it out. That kind of thing. So then calling the bureaucrat, calling the Gram Sabha, going house to house and talking to people and making your side what you are doing and transparently functioning. These are all gave the opportunity. First time in Tamil Nadu, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister has ordered the collector and the all chief senior bureaucrats to go and appear in the Gram Sabha, listen the Gram Sabha, and then what the people decide, then that should be the final line. So when the famous Gram Sabha, Kuthambakkam Gram Sabha was conducted, then I was brought in, I was suspended person. So the collector was asked to read the reasons for the suspension. Collector was reading the reason. People laughed at him. People criticized him. The people proved that what I have done was with them, for them. They have done it. It might be a small violation, but it is not any robbing or anything. That is the need of our. That's why that has to be widened. The route should be widened. So automatically the collector withdrew, the director, secretary, rural development, all of them, they gathered there and I was reinstated. So that kind of thing, yes, even till date. Of course, now I am exempted and whatever I do, whatever I write, whatever I demonstrate, people keep quiet because it is a demonstrated model and transparent model. That transparency, power of demonstration and simple, no complications. This is the way I was coming out of the difficulties. But this is the way I'm also teaching the Panchayat leaders and how this could be replicated. Second one is the upper caste and lower caste, this kind of. I'm talking about the poor of the so-called upper caste, not all the other people. And again, there was a small, even the Brahmin was living as a neighbor to the Dalit, and she is keen to live there. And not that openly she is coming, she wants to eradicate the caste. She is poor. She was hesitating to come here, but now you are guaranteeing. Panchayat is guaranteeing. I am coming here, but I have no problem in living with anybody. So that kind of thing. Then I have to work with the so-called the neighbor Dalit. She is a Brahmin and she is living. And say when you are cooking a dry fish, that smell of the mommy, the Brahmin lady will vomit. So then why can't you cook in that corner? Then that day she cooked or he cooked there. And then I also tell the Brahmin lady, because you have come here, you can't expect that he will become a vegetarian. He will do small help. That kind of small thing. Then one day, this mommy will teach a good, coffee making things, a filter coffee, and that is tasted by the so-called the Dalit ma, and she is feeling, oh, fantastic coffee. Then they became good friends. For that, a small adjustment. And whenever she cooks non-veg, that corner of the end of the plot she'll cook, and this Brahmin lady will do some good thing, and she'll call them, and slowly that happened. Of course, it has not happened all of a sudden, but I took a lot of interest. The Panchayat took a lot of interest. That is why the Kuthambakkam in Tamil Nadu, though 300 or 300 odd Samatopurams have been promoted, but Kuthambakkam is demonstrating. Kuthambakkam is almost demonstrating. 95%. Now, the second generation, now 25 years or 20 years back it happened. All the children who are born there, who are children there, now they are grown boys and girls. And but I was very keen on not promoting the intra-caste marriage or anything. If it happens, the parents are not resisting, leave it. But if there is a problem, that should not be promoted because they are poor people. They are outcasted as per their community, the Naidu community or so-called upper caste community. Hey, you are a useless fellow, you are a poor, that's why you are going and living with Dalits. But now this kind of thing happens, and they go back and cry, then they say, you see, like that. So that's why we are also, the Panchayat is closely watching and monitoring. For one, now it has gone. Now it has gone. Maybe next generation, the boys who have grown in the Samatopuram as Brahmin, as Naidus, as Vanyas, and they are very, very progressive and very pragmatic. And when they grow, at least the whole world, the whole country, I have not. This is not in. Whereas in Kuthambakkam, you can see that the younger generation is not having that much caste impact. That's why I used to make a big noise. Caste need not be eradicated. The vehemence of the caste has to come down. That's very much successfully coming in Kuthambakkam.
Okay, thank you, Lango. So I'll invite actually Juhi. She had a very interesting question around funding of the rural projects. So if Juhi, you could.
My question is that did you manage all these different projects that you created while you were the sarpanch and even after that by getting all the funding from the government and from the panchayat, or did you also have to look for external funding for these projects?
Originally, when the Panchayat was there, almost all the funds, programs were done by government fund. But as I told in the beginning, that every 1 rupee, every 1,000 rupee of the government fund will become 2,000 rupee. People have to contribute. People have to work. People have to contribute the labor. People have to give some material, tractor, this and that. So like that, with the people's big functions of people, it was managing. But other than this, promoting Panchayat Academy, promoting technology, developing, doing some research on technology development, that cannot be spent. Panchayat had no that much of money. So that's why I promote the Trust for Village Self-Governance. And this Trust for Village Self-Governance, that's why it was explicit meaning of trust for promoting self-governance in the villages. So I raised money from very positive, that too international thing means the SDC, the Swiss Development Corporation, that the Swiss Embassy, they were very keen on promoting local governments. They were giving. Other than this, individuals, and with Sangeeta and all our friendship, we traveled in the US and we raised money from the positive Indian people, those who are interested in panchayats and something. We raised money, and using that we promoted the Technology Resource Center. And again, government agencies like banks under their CSR with Government of India thing. And I never raised fund because I'm, though a lot of attraction happened from big corporations, and I didn't go there because one day you get some support, the next day I have to fight with them. So this way I was managing the funds. Now the technology side, very excellent bankable technologies are there. With this technologies, I'm working with the communities, raising the bankable projects, and I'm pushing this to the self-help groups, pushing this to the panchayats, pushing this to the cooperative movements. So this way it's going on.
Thank you so much. Vinay?
Okay. So another, I think, a very interesting and very relevant question for current time around migrants from Prithvi.
Yeah. You want me to talk?
No, just I think Prithvi had a specific question. I am just checking if he's available. Okay, he is not. Okay, I'll just quickly read the question, and then I think you can address other challenges associated with migrants. So his question was framed like, with majority of migrants returning back to the villages and pressure increasing on providing jobs for them, how can the idea of self-reliance be used for overall village development? I think in some ways you answered that in your introduction, but if you want to shed more light anywhere.
In fact, this is one of the nice time, or I don't want to say a nice, it's a very negative thing. The very positive side of this, after the COVID, and that's what even I was talking to Juhi also, when the people, they want to go back to migrants, they want to go back to their respective states, and all those states like Orissa, Bihar, and UP, Madhya Pradesh, there is no big industrial development. Otherwise, other than this, there is no industrial development. There need not be. That industrial development is the root cause for other consequences of bad things, say ecology and something. For sustainable development, the villages are there. The states are very fertile states comparing with Tamil Nadu. Orissa, far better green state than Tamil Nadu. So like that, Andhra Pradesh or even UP and all. So the going back, it will be a pressure in the beginning for 1 month or 2 months. But there must be, it's an opportunity for people like us to demonstrate the ways, how bricks can be made, how a small rice mill can be operated somewhere, how a small wheat flour making, and from there, rava, this thing. So the value addition of the village resources within the village, and how this could be catering the need of the immediate need of the village and immediate need of the neighbor village. Then how the neighbor village can support the other village. So that's kind of village neighborhood villages or network of panchayats, network of economy. Then if it's energy, how solar can be effectively utilized. For that, even educated boys from those villages, those towns or those states, they are going back. We call all of them. The educated boys are there. They can play their role. The strong village boys and those who worked, toiled and moiled and sweated for some 300 rupees or 600 rupees for in Mumbai or anything, sweat there, and we can make a beautiful self-reliant village, self-reliant economy. That is the time. It is the high time for another 1 or 2 years. We have to run pillar to post and see that, demonstrate the solutions for the community. Then with lesser cost, I used to tell even few days back also, I was making a big noise here in Chennai in TV. So when enough food is there, good rice is there, good fruit is there, good egg is there, good milk is there. Yes, all those things are there with lesser cost, plenty of production, surplus. Then automatically 70% of the village problem is gone. Then solar will come in, energy, don't worry, beautiful small fan, enough ventilation. So even we can put a solar refrigerator, preserve it. So all these things are there. So roti, kapada, makan, in this domain, 40 to 50 areas or 70 areas are there with appropriate technologies, with appropriate demonstration of these technologies to the communities. We can make them to stand, sit in those villages and build the villages, build the local economy. And that will be one of the strongest available way. And this COVID-19 is giving opportunity for us to plunge in.
Great. Elango, I would just want to add to this, Vinay, sorry to, barge in.
Go ahead.
A lot of this intervention can also require strong leadership. Would I be right in saying that? Or you think the people by themselves in any community have enough power within themselves to start making this change?
In fact, the leadership means, if the leader like Gandhi led the freedom movement, or Nehru did something, or the so-called the present prime minister is trying to do. If the prime minister is coming forward to understand the local and the rebuilding the country based on this kind of initiatives, fantastic, it will become easy. Otherwise, even in the COVID, even before COVID, all the 73 years, what you are getting from the leaders, what you are getting from the top governments, it's a small one. That has not solved their problem. That's why they migrated. And they migrated, they earned some money. All these 4,000, 5,000, small 3,000, 5,000, they have sent it to their villages. That in those villages, the people, they were eating, their family, the wife, they were eating and they were leading the life. And now the COVID has come, and in the history of the world, this is a very, very difficult time. Maybe after 2-3 months, and they are going to face, and the government cannot do much. Only what is our leftover? Leftover is your body, your energy, and your water, your cow, your land, your everything, that your village thing. So if small signal is coming, I can do this, that yes, he is doing it. Oh, this can be done. Then this can be done with lower caste. This can be sold for lower caste. Oh, we will be happy. So what are the domains? It may be roti kapda makan. All these 3 domains, if this is demonstrated in some clusters, some places, then automatically people will come. Otherwise, even the chief minister or the minister who is keen enough to do something, what is there? He is trying and waiting for the money. Where is the money? So here, we are not, this local economy, local things, what we are talking, it is not going to wait for the money. It is your bull is there or your tractor is there, your people are there, let us plow the land. There only the prudently, the appropriately the technology is going to come. Instead of flooded agriculture, then maybe water managed agriculture will be there. Instead of flooded pesticide, then the organic type of thing. Instead of other big energy, with energy audited solar mode, we will be going there. So it is not exaggerated one or over hype. This is possible. It is demonstrated, being demonstrated by in many places. Only thing is, now people have got the people have got the chance to turn towards us, or we have to make louder noise, so people will turn towards us.
Thank you, Elango. I think Roshni and Mona had a similar question. So I hope Mona and Roshni, your question has been answered in this leadership thing. Though of course Roshni says, Elango, maybe it's time for you to retire from Kuthambakkam and move to another village.
I'm already retired from Kuthambakkam. I'm retired. So I'm for
You're available for all of us, right?
Yes. Now next 5 years, with all these packages, I want to travel across the country and stay in a few places.
So we will share your email address with everybody who's been on this call, so they can also get in touch with you directly. Will that be okay?
Sure.
Perfect. Okay, Vinay, next questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So 5 more minutes are left. So I'm wondering, there are 2 questions. So firstly, I'll invite, I think, Swati. She had an interesting question around fintech digital payments in rural India.
Is Swati there?
I can see.
Swati?
Vinay, I suggest you go ahead and ask the question.
Sure. Okay, so I think the question was around what is the future of digital payments in the rural landscape in South? Is there a sustainable way of getting the rural people to adopt digital payments methods for becoming financially secure? Now, though I don't understand how digital payment is related to financial security, but whatever you think, Elango.
In fact, this is a very modern ideas of financial security and e-payments and all. What we say in our kind of thinking, it's not mine. Let us forget that money could be a datum, but money need not be a big economy. Money need not worry. Even this kind of local economy is flourishing. Money's respect will automatically come down. Money could be used as a denominator for some time. Otherwise, more work, more commodities, more healthy and wealthy food, more wealth in the form of grains, the form of water, the form of cotton, in the form of all these things. This is a wealth. Just by walking, plenty of coconuts. Oh God, plenty of this. Oh God, that is the wealth. That kind of economy we have to push. This currency-based economy, you can't come out, no doubt. But what is wrong in thinking minimizing the going for currency? So automatically the e-payment and all, better the e or engineers and all, instead of sitting in Bhubaneswar and trying to control, trying to facilitate, let us decentralize the whole thing and go back. In fact, our economy, what I say that the economy should be decentralized as much possible. More control on the economy, more control on rupee has to slowly coming down when the people involve more and more on this local economy. So automatically, only in a way, it may be a threat for the government which is counting the dollars or billions or anything, or trillions. But it will not bring the happiness to the people. So that's why after COVID, let us be open. Even the currency led or the demand, what is that, raising fund for again rebuilding or replenishing the country. More than that, putting your effort, effectively your manpower and resources, local resources, and build local. That's what it should not be a total model, but as much possible self-reliancy, as much possible self-sufficiency.
Yes, Elango.
Before we end, I also just want to make a couple of comments, but I think there's one more question.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that one question was from me as well. So Elango, about the disinfected that you were talking about. So I've been, getting little anxious about the use, like, the common disinfected that are available in the market. I'm wondering, they are like so strong in terms of like doing their job, that, like, would they be harming, like the good bacteria and, other aspects of our immunity, and making us, more vulnerable and are affecting our immunity in some aspects. So, like, I'm just wondering how your disinfectant is. Did you keep that factor into mind while designing that?
Yeah, yeah. Generally, disinfectant people when we are using chemicals like organic and some kind of thing, then this may be having its own staying back. And this is a sodium chloride solution here, dilute 4.5% or 5% sodium chloride. So just ordinary salt dissolved, and the DC current is passed, and this is becoming sodium hypochlorite. So the oxygen available and chlorine available become OCl. So it's a very active, powerful one. And once you spray it out, and this will become automatically, the power will be given by killing the bacteria and the thing. And then that's all. It's a very simple one and no poison, nothing.
Right. Okay, Lango. Okay, I think with this, I think we are at 5:30. I'm assuming that will like extend for 5-10 more minutes. So Ashish, over to you now.
Thanks, Vinay. Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple of comments relating to some of the questions that have been asked, and adding to what Elango said. One is that if you actually look at the 73rd Amendment, and in fact, there's a request from one of the participants that maybe we can do a separate session on the 73rd Amendment, and we should consider doing that, bringing in Elango and some other people also who have tried implementing it. But one is that the so-called Panchayat Raj amendment has hardly actually been implemented because the government itself is, other than a few states, is not really truly interested in implementing it, because the more panchayats or actually gram sabhas get empowered, the less the power of the state. And that there is a little bit of a contradiction there. I think Elango also kind of pointed to that in his last response. And especially if you look at it, financial and legal powers have not been devolved to panchayats. They're still primarily with state governments or the central government. And which is why villagers still have to go begging for money to the relevant departments in the state or the center. And this extends all the way from the village all the way up to the center. And I think, so this is one of the issues that needs to be taken up at the grassroots level mobilization, but also at policy level in terms of further constitutional amendments. The second thing is that I think it was very great to hear Elango respond to one of the questions about finance to say that it's not so much about money. Of course, that's important, but it's more about wealth in its true sense, which is wealth in terms of nature, natural resources, our own knowledge, our own technologies, and so on, which is what has not been emphasized. So when one hears the Prime Minister talking about self-reliance on 24th of April, Panchayat Day, it sounds great, but the same government as also the previous governments in all their policies and programs are actually doing completely the opposite. Because around the same time, they also sign up with companies abroad saying, okay, come and invest in India. And we know that the kind of companies, both Indian and foreign, that have been investing are not investing in labor intensive employment. In fact, they're taking away from what local people can produce of the kind that Elango is talking about. So I think the kind of self-reliance and to some extent, self-sufficiency that Elango is talking about is very different from what most of these governments, center and state, have been pursuing. To some extent, Kerala is a bit different, some others have, but mostly it's been a very different kind of thing. And I think we need to recognize that. I also just wanted to quickly say that because a number of other people, and Alok's question, I think also is very important, where he talks about political empowerment of the panchayats and the gram sabhas. And Elango also was pointing to this, that it's not just about the economic empowerment of the panchayats, which he demonstrated in Kuthambakkam and elsewhere, but also that we need to move much more towards direct democracy, where gram sabhas, where panchayats are actually the fundamental unit of decision making and not being recipients of decisions taken at the state government or the central government level. So this becomes important. Just a couple of pieces of information. We are trying to put together documents which have case studies, very brief stories of places like Kuthambakkam, to show exactly what Elango is saying, to make our voice much louder, to actually get it out there that there are already demonstrated initiatives all across the country for self-reliance, for people to be able to meet their own needs locally, and also to be able to deal with medical crises, for instance. We have so many examples where panchayats and local communities have been able to do that, which then significantly reduces the kind of dependence on government, the dependence on centralized health systems and markets and so on. And we're putting out documents of this kind. Hopefully we'll be able to do that in many different forms. It's not just written, but also visual and so on. The Vikalp Sangam website already has about 100 films. So those of you who don't know of it or haven't been there, please go to vikalpsangam.org, where very short clips of 5 to 10 minutes of these wonderful initiatives across the country are there. And as I had said right at the beginning, if you have stories, I think it'll be great if you can also send them in. We can share our email IDs with you to be able to put them up on the Vikalp Sangam website so that others can get inspired from the ones that you have. So Vinay, I just wanted to add some of those points and also to invite more inputs into the Vikalp Sangam process so that we can all get stronger in pushing for this kind of local self-reliance. Thanks. Okay, back to you.
Okay, Vinay, do you want to just sum up the evening? Elango, do you want to add any last words from you?
As it was told in the end that I'm away from Kuthambakkam. Kuthambakkam has been done, and interestingly, it was a laboratory for my thought, and we experimented and demonstrated. And again, the pathetic part of Kuthambakkam is that again it's part of the Chennai city, and Chennai city is aggressively eating away Kuthambakkam. Maybe another 4 or 5 years it may become part of Chennai Corporation or something. So now the strength, the experience, what I gained from Kuthambakkam, I want to pass it on with other thing. I want to travel. I want to sit and stay. I think I'm coming out from all these lectures, whatever it was blocking me to stay in Kuthambakkam. Probably in few months' time, particularly before the COVID-19 ends, I'll be prepared to stay in people and go there, stay there a week or 10 days and create a model, demonstrate, technology, empowerment, people, something like this. I want to move around. And next 5 years, I wanted to see that using this big opportunity created by this economic vacuum is going to be created this, and I want to work for this.
Thank you so much. So we usually end our sessions by all of us switching on our cameras so that we can see each other.
Do you want to announce the next?
Yeah, we should also. And the next session is going to be on the 16th of May. We have another very interesting group that's going to be talking to us. Goonj, Anshu Gupta and Meenakshi will be with us, talking about their initiatives of change and their material economy that they have created through the entire initiative of Goonj. So do join us. We will send you the details again as we've been doing through our mailing list. I think I want to end by, Roshni has sent a short message to you, Elango, on the chat box, but I think it's probably something that all of us would want to say to you. So Elango, big applause to you from all of us for this inspiring work. We wish you good health and continued success. Also, thanks to your wife, who took on the burden of supporting the family so that you could give your service to the community. Her contribution is invaluable as well. So yes, thank you to her. And as you were saying, and I feel very proud that I'm also a woman, that yes, it is the time for the women to take forward, and probably your wife's been leading the way for many of us. Yeah. So thank you, thank you all for being there and being patient with for the call. Do send your ideas. If you have any people you want to recommend who you think are worth bringing on this platform to share alternative stories, we'll be happy to try and include them. So thank you, and see you all next week. Thank you, Elango, once again.
And please look at the same blog spot for the recording of this video and do circulate it to everybody else. It should be up in the next 4 days.
Yes, it will be. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good evening. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Juhi, we're staying on, right?
Yeah, we're staying on.
Okay. The organizers, please stay on. Thank you, Elango.
Shrishti, if you can stay on as well. I see you on the call.
Yeah, I'm here.
It's still recording. I'll switch it off, can I?